demonstration of diversifying the position of these circles, because right now they're all stacked linearly in kind of this y-axis. I want them to look a little more like this, where, and you know, it might not be exactly the same as this, but the idea is that, you know, they are all kind of spread out across the canvas. They are all kind of climbing up depending on the number of colors that we find in the data set. So yeah, let's see how we can achieve that. First, we've kind of captured data triggers, but what I'm referring to are these circles with the black stroke, which we've covered in previous videos. Those points of difference in the data set. How can we construct it to look like this? Well, what's basically happening here is that once it's a different color, it moves over to a certain distance and starts to draw the circles from the same axis point, right, from the same base. And then once it reaches a different color, it goes away and starts drawing it again from the same point all the way up. First, let's come here to where it says if current color is not color data, meaning those are the trigger points that we just talked about. Instead of, okay, so I have like y position, right? So if I do that, it's going to be normal as the text is. And maybe let's define this as the x position as well. So 200. Let y position, let x position. I'm going to just set them as global variables. I'm going to say 200 here. I want to say that if the current color is not the color data, what happens if x position, add x position by 30, right? So move the x 30 pixels to the right. See what happens then. So now they're kind of like shifted more once they hit a different color. Now, we also want them to be placed in the same axis, right? So we want to kind of basically pull these up. Maybe I'll use the new y-pause so that I can see all the colors in action. The new y-pause is a mapped version of that. Okay, so they're kind of spread out even more. I can even probably say here like width divided by 9 because there are 8 colors in total, and that way they are just spread out evenly across my canvas width. We've settled the x positions. Now, how will we be able to pull them down? How we will do that is we will need to specify where we want everything to fall from. So in this case, let's have them all kind of like at least starting from here, right? In which case, I'm gonna put in y position. I'm gonna just like switch this back to y position. The y position equals, I'm gonna say height minus 100. Let's see. So all of those kind of triggers that I've mentioned are now all in this, like all in height minus 50 line here. I'm just eliminating variables that we no longer need so that we can clean up our code. It probably shouldn't be determined by I anymore. Why? Because the I is linear and it's going to go all the way to 100, but we're not stacking them linearly anymore. We're kind of going color by color, and once it shifts to a new color, we want it to reset going from here all the way up. And so it's a different mechanism. So I'm going to get rid of the I. If we erase that, and if we do this, so all of the data points are now at y position. This is good. This is like, I think this is a more logical starting point. So every single data point is now stacked in this. Oh, I'm missing my yellow. Where's my yellow? Let's do this. Okay, great. So we don't want our y position to be exclusively in that yet, right? But okay, what I'm saying is that this is a good starting point. Now we just want them to move, right? We want them to move by a specific space all the way up, so long as they have the data points. if current color is no longer color data is when they move to the next spot, and when they change color. But once they've done that, then they can then they can draw the data points with the spread out across the y-axis. Okay, so maybe it should live here, and maybe it should say else y pos. It's going up, which means in the y-axis it's subtracting. And we can say y position maybe like that minus equals, let's say 20 for now. Okay, I don't know what that's going to give us. Let's try it. Okay, so it's kind of doing something. So maybe we need a y, like an elevation. Like, okay, let's introduce a new variable. Let's say let y, actually let's use this, y spacing. And maybe let's say if y spacing is equal 0 at the start, once the color is correct, then we can use y spacing, just keep adding to it by 30, for example. And so now maybe we can say here y pos equals y pos minus y spacing. I don't know what that's going to give us. Let's just try it. Okay, y spacing, because this is adding by 30 all the time. But we need to reset it. We need to reset the bubbles every time it gets to a new color. So maybe y spacing, okay, so maybe we need this. Okay, guys, this is you seeing me in real time coding this. So I have to be honest, creative coding most of the time is really just figuring out where you place things, more so than like what you need to write. Sometimes it's just kind of like, where do I place what I need to place? So anyway, what if I reset my y spacing equals 0 here? I have a good feeling about this one. So refresh this. Okay, great. So we've accomplished something here. We have all the colors stacked up. The only thing we're missing is that very, very first data point. I want to identify whether I'm missing my first data point or if all of my bubbles have just been stacked up for some reason. I'm gonna on my like Miro board. I'm gonna see 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. All right. So those are all my data points, except they're not really, they're shifted upwards because they adopted this y spacing. So they've been spaced up by 30 pixels before, instead of going 0. Y spacing plus equals 30 is here. What if we placed it there? What's going to happen then? Yay. Okay. Great. I think that fixed it. Lovely. Okay. That's the only, okay, see, sometimes it is this simple and it takes a bit of time getting around to it. But basically what I've just done is move my y spacing 30, which means, again, the y spacing here is what spreads out the y position of the bubbles upwards by 30 pixels. And so at first we were left with this, and that's because it was already pushing it upwards before it even began at the base level. And so I just moved that into here, outside of the else statement, so that it doesn't differentiate that first data point with the rest of the triggered data points, at least. And so everything's moved a little bit upwards now, but that's fine, because we can still adjust that here in the y position or in the y spacing and things like that. Okay, so I'm definitely satisfied with this progress so far. Thank you everyone for being so patient in going through that together. But hopefully that makes sense in introducing those concepts into spreading out at least this kind of graph, this specific shape of a graph. And yeah, hopefully you can also identify the frameworks and tools and key concepts that we use to apply that to your own data visualization. Module 5 is definitely the time to reach out anytime you need help and support. Please tune into our Discord server at any time, and we'll be there to help you out and do sessions with you if you need, do study spaces, anything like that. Yeah, so stay in touch with our community if you ever need support. I'll see you in the next videos. Bye!